Hello everyone, this is Chapter 5 in Rizal's Life and Works. It is entitled At the University of Santo Tomas in 1877 to 1882. The presenters in this chapter is me myself, Gomez Jahan a student in Bachelor of Science in Psychology 1B, and Amela by Ashley Sinswat in Bachelor of Community Development 2A. The content of my part in this presentation are the following. Mother's opposition to higher education, Rizal enters the university, finishing surveying course in Ateneo in 1878, romances with other girls, victim of Spanish officers' brutality, to the Filipino youth a La Juventud Filipina, and interesting facts about Dr. Jose Rizal. Before we proceed, let's read the poem that is wrote by Dr. Jose Rizal. Youth, illumined by the arts and letters, stride forth into the arena, break down the heavy fetters that bind your genius down. For in these tropic regions, where untutored darkness once held sway, the wise and kindly Spanish hand bestows today a splendid crown upon the native of this Easter land. Firstly, is the mother's opposition to higher education. Ang nakikita niyo pong larawan sa inyong screen ay ang nanay po ni Dr. Jose Rizal na si Doña Chodora E. Alonso Rialonda. Unfortunately, Rizal's tragic first romance with its bitter disillusionment did not adversely affect his studies in University of Santo Tomas. So, in this time, si Rizal is nakaranas ng tragic first romance niya, na which is, ang first love niya po ay si Segunda Katigbak. Pero hindi ito naka-apekto sa kanyang pagtuloy sa pag-aral sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas. His love for higher education proved to be greater than his love for a pretty girl. After finishing the first year of the course in Philosophy and Letters in 1877 to 1878, he transferred to the medical course. So, pinatunayan ni Dr. Rizal na mas malaki ang kanyang pagmamahal sa edukasyon kesa lamang sa isang magandang babae. At nang matapos niya ang kurso niyang Philosophy and Letters, first year lang ang nakuha niya sa kursong ito. Siya ay lumipat sa medical course at ito ay furtherly discussed this later on. So, as a Tomasian po ang tawag sa mga nag-aaral sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas. Rizal, he won more literary laurels and had more romances with girls and also fought against Spanish students. So, si Rizal nga ay nag-aaral sa University of Santo Tomas at doon ay marami din siyang napanalunang mga literary laurels or mga awards sa kanyang mga poem and literary works. And also, he had romances with girls. Marami din siyang nakilalang babae throughout his journey in University of Santo Tomas. And if you don't know, si Rizal is also known as, or called, as famously called as the champion of Filipino in the University of Santo Tomas. So, dahil ito sa rason na when that time is maraming discrimination sa University of Santo Tomas. Not even the Dominicans but also yung mga Spanish students na nakakasama nila Dr. Rizal. So frequently they will tease Filipino student as Indio Chongo dahil nga sa color na natural color na brown ng ating mga Filipino. At si Dr. Rizal ang unang nakipaglaban at gumante sa mga Spanish students at doon nga nagsimula na pinaglaban na rin ng mga ibang estudyante ang kanilang sarili. Okay, so proceeding, Don Francisco and Pasiano wanted that Jose should pursue higher learning, but Doña Chodora did not want him to study more. Evidently, she had a premonition that too much knowledge would imperil her son's life. So, si Don Francisco at si Pasiano Rizal, gusto nila na magpatuloy si Jose sa pag-aral sa higher learning. Gusto nila ipagpatuloy na Dr. Rizal ang kanyang college days. Ngunit ayaw pumayag ng kanyang nanay na si Doña Chodora dahil ayon sa libro is ang sobrang kaalaman daw is makakasama sa kanyang anak. Ayan po ang litrato ng Universidad ng Santo Tomas nung taon na nag-aaral pa doon si Dr. Rizal. At sa inyong screen din naman nakikita si Don Francisco Mercado Rizal, ang tatay po ni Dr. Rizal. At sa inyong kanang bahagi ay si Pasiano Mercado Alonso Rizal, ang kuyang kapatid ni Dr. Rizal. Si Doña Chodora, she knew the fate of the Filipino intellectuals, Father Burgos, Dr. Antonio Maria Regidor, Jose Basa, and other exiles of 1872 who were either executed or exiled by the Spanish authorities. So, sabi ni, according kay sa libro din, sabi daw ni Doña Chodora, hinahintnanan ng mga Filipino intellectuals or mga ilustrados nung time ng Spanish colonization. So, itong mga nabanggit, si Father Burgos, si Dr. Antonio Maria Regidor, si Jose Basa, sila yung some of the Filipino ilustrados na na-exile or pinatapon at pinatay noong 1872 ng mga Spanish authorities. And if you probably know, merong famous na 3 priests na na-execute din noong 1872 dahil sa Cavite Mutiny. So sila ay they were executed by garrote. Ito ay si they are known as Gomburza, si Father Mariano Gomez, Father Jose Burgos, and Father Jacinto Zamora. So silang tatlo ay inakusahan na they were forming a revolt against the Spanish colonization. So she warned her husband and quoted, "Do not send Jose again to Manila. If he gets to know too much, they will cut off his head." So sabi ni Doña Teodora, pinagbawalan niya, pinalaan niya ang kanyang asawa na huwag papuntahin ulit si Jose sa Manila. Dahil kapag siya daw ay nagkaroon ng mas marami pang kaalaman, ay puputulin ang kanyang lieg. Ang sabi ni Doña Teodora. So nung time kasi ng Spanish government is ayaw nila ng mga Pilipino na marunong or marami silang kaalaman. Ayaw nilang matutong mga Filipino that time. So evidently, Don Francisco and Pasiano were able to overcome Doña Teodora objection. It was finally decided that Jose would study in the University of Santo Tomas. So as you can see, yung result naman is hindi nanalo ang objection ni Doña Teodora laban sa kay Don Francisco at kay Pasiano dahil nakapatuloy pa rin si Dr. Rizal sa pag-aaral sa University of Santo Tomas. As you can see in your screen is the images of Father Jose Burgos, Dr. Antonio Maria Regidor, and Jose Maria Basa. So ito yung mga na-mention or some of the Filipino illustrados that was mentioned earlier. Rizal enters the university. In April 1877, Rizal matriculated in the University of Santo Tomas, taking philosophy and letters. He enrolled in this course for 2 reasons. First reason is his father liked it. And secondly, he was still uncertain as to what career to follow. So, noong April 1877, si Rizal nga ay nakapagpatuloy ng mag-aral sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas at ang kanyang kursong kinuha ay Filosofiya at Letra. Nag-enroll siya or kinuha niya itong kurso dahil sa 2 rason. Unang rason, isang tatay niya ay gusto niya ang kursong ito dahil nagtapos din ang tatay niya sa kursong Philosophy and Letters. At ang pangalawang rason, he was still uncertain as to what career to follow. So yung pangalawang rason, hindi pa niya alam kung ano yung career na kukunin niya nung time na yon. Kaya't ang pinagdesisyonan na lang niya ay sundin ang gusto ng kanyang tatay. So dito sa Philosophy and Letters, pinag-aralan niya ang cosmology, metaphysics, theodicy, and history of philosophy. So in 1878 to 1879, Rizal took up medicine upon the advice of Ateneo's rector to study medicine. Also, the second reason is to cure his mother's failing eyesight. So nung second year na niya sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas, Rizal decided to took up medicine. So, she switched his course. Nagpalit siya ng kurso from philosophy and letters to medical course. So, dahil din ito sa 2 rason. Una ay, nag-reply na sa liham ni Dr. Rizal ang Ateneo's rector na si Father Pablo Ramon, which is siya yung naging mabait kay Dr. Rizal sa time niya sa Ateneo. So, ang pangalawang rason naman ay ang nanay niya ay lumalala, ang nagiging malubha ang kanyang mata. At ito ay magiging resulta niya ay magiging mabubulag na ang kanyang nanay. So, ang makikita niya sa inyong screen ay si Father Pablo Ramon. As I mentioned earlier, itong Father Rector ng Ateneo nung time ni Dr. Rizal. Next one is finishes surveying course in Ateneo 1878. So in 1877 to 1878, Rizal also studied in Ateneo. He took the vocational course leading to the title of Perito Agrimensor or Expert Surveyor. He earned gold medals in agriculture and topography. So noong 1877 to 1878, habang nag-aaral siya sa University of Santo Tomas, siya ay nag-aral din sa Ateneo at kumuha ng kurso, vocational na kurso na nag-earn sa kanyang title ng Perito Agrimensor or Expert Surveyor. Dahil din sa pag-aaral niya dito ay nakakuha siya ng gold medals in agriculture and topography. And also in 1877 and 1878, at the age of 17, he passed the final and the title was issued to him on November 25, 1881. So sa edad niyang 17 taong gulang pa lamang, ay napasa na niya ang kanyang finals para sa kursong ito. At nakuha niya ang title na ito at na-issue ito sa kanya noong November 25, 1881. So, bakit natagalan ang pagkakuha niya sa titulong ito na kahit napasa naman niya ang mga finals? Dahil ito sa edad niya. Hindi pa kasi siya nasa legal age, minor de edad pa siya nung time na napasa niya ang kanyang exam sa vocational course na ito. He frequently visited the Ateneo. It was due not to only his surveying course but more because of his loyalty to the Ateneo. So, lagi niyang binibisita ang Ateneo nung time na nag-aral pa rin siya sa University of Santo Tomas dahil sa kanyang loyalty sa Ateneo, hindi dahil sa kurso na kinuha niya. So, bakit loyal siya sa Ateneo? Dahil halos lahat ng mga naging guro niya, mga priests and Jesus ng Ateneo nung time na nag-aaral siya doon, ay mabait sa kanya at tinuring siyang parang pamilya. Unlike sa University of Santo Tomas, na nakaka-experience siya ng mga discrimination galing sa mga Dominicans teacher niya. So sa pag-aaral niya sa Ateneo nung time na to, he was the president of the Academy of Spanish Literature and Secretary of Academy of Natural Sciences and Secretary and Marian Congregation. Next is the romances with other girls. So, ang first woman that was met by Dr. Rizal in his time in University of Santo Tomas is pinangalanan Miss L. He paid court to a young woman in Calamba. He called her Miss L, describing her as a fair with seductive and attractive eyes. Rizal himself did not give her a name. However, he gave two reasons for his change of heart. Namely, the sweet memory of Segunda was still in his heart and his father objected to the match. So, ang unang babaeng niyang niligawan nung siya ay nag-aral pa sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas ay isang dalagang babae galing sa Calamba. At tinawag ito ni Dr. Rizal na Miss L. Dinescribe niya si Miss L as makinis, maganda at merong nakakaakit na mata. Si Rizal himself, hindi niya binigyan ng pangalan si itong babaeng ito at no one knows who's Miss L until now kasi nga hindi nga po binigay ni Dr. Rizal or hindi niya inikalat ang pangalan ni Miss L. However, nagbigay siya ng dalawang rason kung bakit nag-iba ang puso niya at hindi niya tinuloy ang relasyon kay Miss L. Ang una ay hindi niya pa rin nakakalimutan ang memory nilang dalawa ni Segunda at mahal niya pa rin si Segunda kaya hindi na tinigilan si Miss L. At ang pangalawang rason ay ang tatay niya ay ayaw kay Miss L at sa pamilya nito. Kaya hindi na nagpatuloy pa ang relasyon ni Miss L at doon na po nagtapos. Susunod na pag-ibig ni Dr. Rizal sa kanyang pag-aaral sa UST ay si Leonor Valenzuela. Jose Rizal's love in his second year at UST. During his sophomore year at the University of Santo Tomas, he boarded in the house of Doña Concha Leiva in Intramuros. He courted Leonor Valenzuela, who was a tall girl and had a regal bearing. He sent her love notes written in invisible ink. So, si Leonor Valenzuela po ay ang pangalawang pag-ibig ni Dr. Rizal sa kanyang second year at University of Santo Tomas. So, nakilala niya si Leonor Valenzuela nung siya ay nag-boarding house sa sa boarding house nila Doña Concha Leve sa Intramuros. So, dinescribe niya po si Leonor Valenzuela as matangkad at merong marangyang pamilya or meron siyang regal background. So, ang naging komunikasyon ni Leonor Valenzuela at Dr. Rizal ay binibigyan ng liham ni Dr. Rizal si Leonor nang nakasulat ito sa with invisible ink. Yung mga love notes ni Dr. Rizal are written in invisible ink. So, paano nagawa ni Dr. Rizal ito? Dahil nga siya ay intelligent and has a lot of knowledge about chemistry. He applied it to his love notes rather. So yun nga, tinuruan din ni Dr. Rizal kung paano mabasa ang liham na kanyang sinusulat sa invisible ink. So ito ay mababasa lamang kapag nakatapat sa kandila or lamp. Ngunit hindi rin sila nagtagal ni Leonor Valenzuela at sila nga din ay nakapaghiwalay. Ang pangatlong pag-ibig ni Dr. Rizal sa kanyang pag-aaral sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas ay si Leonor Rivera, another Leonor. Leonor Rivera, Jose Rizal's love for 11 years, so napakatagal. Rizal's next romance was with another Leonor Rivera, his cousin from Camiling, a student at La Concordia College, where Soledad was then studying. Leonor was a frail, beautiful girl, tender as a budding flower with kindly, wistful eyes. They became engaged. In her letters to Rizal, Leonor signed her name as a Times in order to camouflage their intimate relationship from their parents and friends. So, ang susunod nga po na pag-ibig ni Dr. Rizal ay ang isang magandang babae na si Leonor Rivera na kanyang pinsan galing sa Camiling. So ito ay estudyante sa La Concordia College where ang kapatid po ni Dr. Rizal na si Soledad Rizal ay doon din nag-aaral. So dinescribe niya po si Leonor as frail, mahinhin, maganda, at mahinhin nga po siya at magandang babae. So, silang dalawa ni Leonor ay nagtagal ng kanilang relasyon. They became engaged to each other. They become so close, intimate to each other that they even signed, si Leonor, meron siyang pen name every letters na sinasend niya kay Dr. Rizal para mapakita kung gaano nga lalim ang kanilang relasyon. Ngunit hindi rin nagtagal ay nung umalis nga po si Dr. Rizal papunta sa Spain, ay doon po sila nawala ng komunikasyon dahil po ang nanay po ni Leonor Rivera ay ayaw niya po kay Dr. Rizal dahil sa dalawang rason. Unang rason po is dahil daw po si Dr. Rizal ay filibuster at ang pangalawa ay si Dr. Rizal daw po ay hindi niya mabibigyan na marangyang buhay ang kanyang anak na si Leonor Rivera. At dahil doon, binayaran ng nanay ni Leonor Rivera ang kartero or yung mga nagbibigay ng mga liham nung kanilang panahon para hindi na makarating kay Leonor Rivera ang mga liham ni Dr. Rizal. At dahil po doon, naputol ang komunikasyon ng dalawa at nakapag-asawa si Leonor Rivera ng isang German engineer. At doon na po natapos ang kanilang relasyon. The next part is the victim of Spanish officer's brutality. Victim of Spanish officer brutality. When Rizal was a freshman medical student at the University of Santo Tomas, he got his first taste of Spanish brutality. One dark night in Calamba, during his summer vacation in 1880, he was walking in the street. He dimly perceived the figure of a man while passing him. Not knowing the person due to darkness, he did not salute nor say a courteous good evening. The bagged figure was the lieutenant of the Guardia Civil. So, first time na na-experience si Dr. Rizal ang Spanish officer's brutality nung time na nag-aaral siya as medical student sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas. So one dark night, isang madilim na paglalakad niya nung summer vacation niya nung 1880, naglalakad siya sa street and hindi niya napansin na meron siyang nakasalamuha na lieutenant of the Guardia Civil pala. Dahil nga po hindi niya makita ito dahil sa kadiliman, hindi siya nakapagbigay, hindi siya nakapagsalute at hindi siya nakapagbigay ng hindi niya nabigyan ng bati ang lieutenant of the Guardia Civil na iyon. At nung na-realize ng Guardia Civil ay pinagpapalo nila ang likod ni Dr. Rizal sa isang belt or parang pamalo, basta pinalo nila yung likod ni Dr. Rizal at yun ay nagsanhi ng matinding sugat sa kanyang likod. So Rizal reported the incident to General Primo de Rivera, the Spanish Governor General of the Philippines at that time. So nung nag-report si Dr. Rizal sa Governor General ng Pilipinas ng time na yon na si General Primo de Rivera, isang Spanish governor. So nagsulat siya ng letra kay Blumentritt noong March 21, 1887 at sinabi niya dito na, I went to the Captain General but I could obtain no justice. My wound lasted 2 weeks. So sabi sa liham, ay pumunta nga daw si Dr. Rizal sa Captain General na si General Primo de Rivera pero wala siyang nakuwang hustisya dito. So walang ginawang aksyon si General Primo de Rivera nung time na nagsumbong si Dr. Rizal sa kanya at ang kanyang sugat sa likod na natamo niya sa Lieutenant of the Guardia Civil noon ay nagtagal ng 2 linggo. Ang di nyo alam is ang nanay po ni Dr. Rizal ay 2 beses nakulong sa hindi naman po niya na ginawang kasalanan. So 2 beses po siyang nakulong in the injustice system of the Spanish government that time. Next is to the Filipino youth. Wrote by Dr. Rizal in 1879. In the year, the Liceo Artístico Literario, Artistic Literary Lyceum of Manila, a society of literary men and artists, held a literary contest. It offered a prize for the best poem by native or mestizo. Rizal submitted his poem entitled A la Juventud Filipina to the Filipino youth. The board of judges, composed of Spaniards, was impressed by Rizal's poem and gave it the first prize. So, nung taong 1879, ang Liceo Artístico Literario or Artistic Literary Lyceum ng Manila ay gumawa ng literary contest. So, ito ay magbibigay daw sila ng premyo sa mga makakasubmit ng maganda or pinakamagandang poem kahit ito ay native or mestizo, Spanish or Filipino. So si Rizal, as a intelligent person as he is, he submitted his poem. Ang poem na ito ay entitled as A la Juventud Filipina or in English, To the Filipino Youth. So, nung pinasa niya ito, ang board of judges ng Liceo Artístico Literario ng Maynila, and also even composed of Spaniards, lahat sila ay nabilib sa poem na itong sinulat ni Dr. Rizal. And eventually, the poem got the first prize of the contest. The prize-winning poem, A la Juventud Filipina, the poem is as follows. In your screen, you can read the poem wrote by Dr. Rizal. To the Filipino youth. Theme, Grow, O Timid Flower. First stanza, hold the high brow serene, O youth where now you stand. Let the bright sheen of your grace be seen. Fair hope, my fatherland. Fair hope of my fatherland. So the first stanza, the first line, unfold, O timid flower, implies that the youth is silent, may be daunted, and consequently has not yet gone into full bloom. For whatever reason there is, may have silenced them. In the beginning stanza, Rizal encourages the youth by telling them to hold their heads high for they possesses talents and skills and abilities that would make their country proud. So dun sa first stanza pa lang, According sa my research is the first line indicated that Dr. Rizal wanted to encourage the youth in the first stanza also. So dahil nga daw nung time na yon is wala pang nakakakayang mag-stand up para sa kanilang sarili, ipaglaban ng kanilang rights. Second stanza, come now, throw Jinto's grant, and bring down inspiration. With time mighty hand, swifter than the wind volation, raise the eager mind to higher station. Second stanza can be rearranged in contemporary English to say, O genius great, soar high, and fill their mind with noble thoughts. May their virgin mind fly, and find the honors glorious, sit more rapidly than the wind. Here, Rizal calls to genius to fill young minds with noble thoughts, and hopes that as they release their thinking from the chains that bind, they may able to soar swiftly high where the joy of honor is. So in this stanza or the second verse in to the Filipino youth, dito is gusto ni Rizal na encourage ang mga genius or mga matatalinong may mga kaalaman ng mga youth na ipamahagi nila ang kanilang kaalaman at para ito ay magdudulot ng magandang dulot sa mga kabataan natin noon at ngayon. In the third stanza rather, come down with pleasing light of art and science to the flight. O youth, and their untie, the chains that heavy lie, your spirit free to blight. Contrary to the second verse, which talk about ascending and soaring to the heights, this third stanza now talks about descent and downward motion of the great genius to fill the earthly strokes of art and science with their magnificent ideas. Again, Rizal calls them to break the chains that bind their intellect. Poetic genius here does not necessarily pertain to the talent of writing poetry. Instead, the term poetic is simply an adjective to describe genius, meaning that it is deep and mystifying and heavy with meaning. So sa third stanza, it contrasts to the second stanza which is soaring to the heights. Dito naman is talks about descent or pag downward motion of the great genius. So dito, it also encouraged the youth to break the chains, the genius rather, to break the chains and bind their intellect. So gusto niya na dapat walang makakapigil sa mga kabataan sa pagkalap ng kaalaman, despite of having obstacles behind the way. So dito, hindi lamang literal na genius ang gusto ni Dr. Rizal, but also the powerful mind and strong and dependable youth ang gusto niyang makuha. So in the fourth stanza, see how in flaming zone, amid the shadows thrown, the Spaniard holy hand, a crownless splendid band, profers to this angel land. In the fourth stanza, Rizal challenges the youth that in their pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, they may humble the hand of Spain, whose proud chin did not kindly upon the people whom they labeled as Indios, and whom they treated with contempt. He dreams that in their journey to intellectual greatness, they may humble even the proudest nations that look down on them and rightfully deserve a crown that shines even where shadow stands. So, this fourth stanza is very napakaganda ng meaning na gustong iparating ni Rizal dito. Dito gusto niyang i-challenge ang mga kabataan noon na gusto niya na through their knowledge, through sa kaalaman, hindi dahil sa mga gusto niya makipaglaban na sa dugo-duguan, but it is the fight through the knowledge and wisdom. At naniniwala siya na ito ay makaka-humble or makakapagpaganda ng tingin ng Spain, na mga Spanish that time sa mga Pilipino. Gusto niya na umangat ang tingin nila sa mga Filipino na nililabel nila as Indios nung time na yon. He dreams that there will be a crown that shines even where shadows stand. So gusto niya na kahit meron mang balakid na shadows sa harapan, is gusto niya yung crown ng mga Filipino, mga youth, is will always shine. And then the fifth and sixth stanzas. Though who now would its rise, on wings of rich emprise, seek from Olympian skies, song of sweetest strain, softer than ambrosial rain. Those whose voice divine rivals Philomel refrain, and with varied line through the night beneath, frees mortality from pain. In the fifth and sixth stanzas, in these two stanzas, Rizal calls the youth to seek the beauty of poetry and music, which he himself values greatly as essentials in every manner of life. He claims that poetry is more sweet than divine honey, and that music can dissipate man's sorrow's blight. So si Dr. Rizal dito sa dalawang stanzas na to is tinatawag niya ang mga kabataan noon at ngayon na hanapin ang kagandahan ng literatura, ng poetry at ng music. Dahil ito ay pinahalagahan ni Dr. Rizal at kanyang mahal na mahal nung time na siya ay nabubuhay pa. He claims, pinapaniwalaan ni Dr. Rizal na ang poetry daw is more sweet than divine honey. So, napakaganda daw ng poetry kung ikaw ay mag-i-invest sa poetry, and that music can dissipate man's sorrow's blight. So, pinapaniwalaan niya din na ang music is one way to relieve stress, one way to relieve sadness. So, that is the message in the fifth and sixth stanzas. Seventh stanza, O who by sharp strife wakest thy mind to life, and the memory bright of thy genius light makest immortal in its strength, and though in accent clear of Phoebus to appeal is dear, or by the brush magic art takest from nature's store apart, to fix it on the simple canvas length. So in the seventh stanza, speaking to the youth, Rizal says that by the very impulse of their mind, they are capable of bringing to life or animating even something as lifeless and unmoving as a hard rock. He continues to say that the youth is able to immortalize their thoughts and their words through the help of great genius, as he has done himself. This stanza can be arranged in a more contemporary English structure as follows. You can animate the hard rock as the impulse of your mind and transform with the great power of your mind the pure memory of great genius into immortality. So, pinapaniwalaan niya at ini-encourage na nga ang mga kabataan dito sa 7th stanza na to na ang kanilang a great mind and a strong mind will able to transform and immortalize a lot of changes in that certain time and period. So, dito is specifically, nung time na yon kasi is wala talagang maririnig na boses na nakikipaglaban sa mga Spaniards nung time na yon. Lahat sila ay tahimik lang kahit sila ay tinapaktapakan na, kahit nakaka-experience na sila ng a lot of discrimination, they never fought back. But this 7th stanza, he wanted that the youth will start the changes, even the smallest change will have a big effect that time. So in the 8th stanza, go forth and then the sacred fire of thy genius to the laurel may aspire, to spread around the fame and in victory acclaim. Through wider spheres the human name. So in 8th stanza, Rizal here addresses the youth, comparing their abilities to a magic brush that can capture even the most majestic views and the most glorious charms on black canvas. That dito sa 8th stanza, the message here is that Rizal want to address the youth that abilities of them is like a magic brush that can even capture even the most majestic views. So dahil lang sa simpleng he wanted to relay the message na ang abilities daw ng youth, ng mga kabataan noon at ngayon has the biggest ability to like a magic brush na kaya nitong mag-capture, kumuha ng majestic views and magandang pananaw sa ibang tao. So, it's i-imply it as like a black canvas. So, dun sa black canvas na yon ay yung abilities mo na yon ang makakapagbigay kulay doon sa black canvas na yon. And the last stanza, Day, O happy day, fair Filipinas for Thailand, so bless the power today that places in thy way this favor and this future grant. And the last stanza is a charge, urging the youth to run, for a glorious crown awaits them. The sphere here pertains to the world, showing that Rizal believed the Filipino youth is as brilliant as those in any other nation, and is able to contend with even the strongest powers if they only set their mind to making most of what they already have. So in this last stanza of Dr. Rizal's poem, it is very encouraging, and it is the charge. Ito na yung parang gusto na masyado i-urge ni Dr. Rizal ang mga kabataan dahil pinapaniwalaan niya at naniniwala siya sa mga kabataan noon at ngayon that we are a brilliant person, and that if we only put our mind, pag nilalagay natin ang ating focus on something that we want, we would makukuha natin ito. And he believed that kahit anong mang strongest powers or kahit anong mang balakid, obstacles ang makakaharang sa atin, we would always, we can always overcome it. And he want to set the mind of the youth na kailangan lang nating palaguin ng ating mga abilities and skills na meron na sa atin. All in all, the message of the poem is for the Filipino youth of the present and future generation. It urges the Filipino youth to reach their potential by harnessing their skills and talents for the betterment of our countrymen. It motivates the youth to free Filipinos from ignorance and to seek freedom and human dignity. Rizal wrote this because he wanted the youth to wake up from being under the Spanish rule and do something for a big change. Rizal believed that youth is the hope of the country, and even quoted his famous saying, "Ang kabataan, ang pag-asa ng bayan." Para sa mga kabataan noon at ngayon, tayo, gusto niya nga i-inspire tayo mga Filipino youth na i-reach daw natin yung mga potentials natin, and palaguin nga natin ang ating mga kakayahan at skills para sa kagandahan at kabutihan ng ating homeland. And one thing for sure, Rizal really believed na tayong kabataan ang magiging pag-asa ng bayan, as what he quoted in his famous saying. Hello, and this is the part where the interesting facts about Dr. Rizal that you probably didn't know about. Firstly, is Dr. Rizal, he was a polyglot. Rizal mastered 22 languages: Spanish, French, Latin, Greek, German, Portuguese, Italian, English, Dutch, Japanese, Arabic, Swedish, Russian, Chinese, Greek, Hebrew, and Sanskrit. So Rizal is really an intelligent giant nung time niya na nabubuhay pa siya. So throughout his life, he mastered 22 languages, and yun yung mga na-mention ko na languages. At lahat yun ay mastered ni Dr. Rizal. He was really a talented man and skillful national hero. Next facts about Dr. Rizal is that there are 3 animals named after him. 3 animals which he collected when he was in exile in the Pitan were later named after him. So itong 3 animals na to is na hanap niya, na discover niya nung siya ay pinatapon sa Dapitan noong 1872. So these are the animals that were named after him. First one is the Apogonia rizali, a type of small beetle, as you can see in the image in your screen. Ayan po ang unang animals na napangalan kay Dr. Rizal. And the next is Draco rizali, a species of dragonfly, and Rhacophorus rizali, a species of toad. So yan yung po yung image ng Draco rizali and Rhacophorus rizali. So in his time in the Pitan, hindi lang po animals ang na-discover niya. He invested a lot of time and efforts para sa kabutihan ng the Pitan people nung time ng exile niya. And probably the most shocking part is there are 9 women, or Rizal had 9 women in his life. As you can see in the images, that was the woman in the life of Rizal. Is his first love, Segunda Katigbak. The next one is Leonor Valenzuela. The next one is Leonor Rivera, Consuelo Ortiga, Seco Oseisan, Gertrude Beckett, Nellie Bosted, Suzanne Jacoby, and Josephine Bracken, which Si Josephine Bracken ang huling babae ni Dr. Rizal dahil yun po ang kanyang naging asawa. So, napakasalan niya po si Dr. Rizal nung 2 hours before na-execute si Dr. Rizal, sila ay kinasal. So, bakit doon lang sila kinasal? Kasi po, hindi pinapayagan ng church that time na ikasal silang dalawa dahil mainit na po masyado ang usapin kay Dr. Rizal at yun na po yung usapin ng pagpatay sa kanya. That is all, and let us remember the famous saying of Dr. Rizal: ang hindi marunong lumingon sa pinanggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa paroroonan. So let's stay humble always and let's put our feet always on the ground. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig.
Assalamualaikum. My name is by Ashley Sinswat Amelia. My topic for today is the Council of the Gods. In the year of 1880, the Artistic Literary Museum opened another literary contest to remind the 4th centennial of the death of Cervantes. So, who is Cervantes? O kaya Miguel de Cervantes. Isa siyang early modern Spanish writer in the Spain language and one of the world's preeminent novelists, and he also the famous author of Don Quixote. Many writers participated in the contest like priests, newspapermen, scholars, and the professor of the University of Santo Tomas. So, Dr. Rizal submitted an allegorical drama entitled El Consejo de los Dioses, the Council of the Gods. So, this time, the contest was open to both Filipino and Spaniards. Maraming nakilahok sa contest na ito like priests, padre, newspapermen, scholars, and the professor of the UST. So, Dr. Rizal ay naging inspirasyon niya yung pre-trial triumph in the previous year. So, he entered the contest just submit an allegorical drama entitled El Consejo de los Dioses. So, next, all of the contest judges were Spanish. After a thorough and critical evaluation of the submissions, they were compelled to give the prize to Rizal due to his higher literary quality to the others. Because the winning author was an Indian, the Spanish community in Manila, led by the Spanish press, held indignantly in opposition to the choice. In that contest, lahat ng hurado ay Spanish. After a long critical appraisal of that contest, they were compelled to give the prize to Rizal dahil sa kanyang kahusayan sa panitikan. So despite all protests, the prize, a gold ring with engraving of Cervantes bust, was given to Rizal. So Spanish author Dian del Puzo took home the second runner-up spot. The top Spanish writer of his age in Manila were defeated by an Indio, a 19-year-old Filipino medical student in a national literary competition for the first time in history. So, nanalo si Rizal dahil sa kanyang pagka-literary superiority and the Spanish writer ay natalo ng isang 19 years old na Filipino medical student sa national literary competition. So Rizal composed several poems and plays despite studying medicine in addition to the 2 works that won awards. Maliban sa dalawang nabanggit na panalunan ni Rizal, kahit nag-aaral siya ng medisina, gumagawa rin siya ng ibang tula at drama. Next, on the December 8, 1880, the Ateneans produced the play Junto al Pasig, Beside the Pasig, in honor of the yearly observance of the feast day of Immaculate Conception. The school patrons, it was a melodrama that he authored while serving as a president of the Ateneo's Academy of Spanish Literature. So, isa sa mga pamagat ng kanyang drama ay ang Junto al Pasig, Beside the Pasig, na kung saan itinanghal ng mga Ateneans noong December 8, 1880, okasyon ng annual celebration sa araw ng kapistahan ng Immaculate Patrons of the Ateneo. It was a melodrama na kanyang sinulat bilang presidente ng Akademya ng Spanish Literature in the Ateneo. He published a sonnet titled A Filipinas. In the Society of Sculpture book, the same year, 1880, he asked all Filipino poets to exalt the Philippines in this sonnet. Sa parehong taon, 1880, sumulat din siya ng sonnet na ang pamagat ay ang Pilipinas. In the album of Society Sculpture, sa sonnet na ito, hinimok o hinihikayat niya ang lahat ng Filipino artist na purihin ang Pilipinas. Next, El-Aziz Y. Mahoma. A poem he wrote the year before was read aloud by Manuel Fernandez, an Atenean, on the evening of December 8, 1879. In remembrance of the Ateneus patrons, bago ang taong 1879, gumawa siya ng isa pang tula, pinamagatang El-Aziz Y. Mahoma, na kung saan idiniklara ng Atenean na si Manuel Fernandez on the night of December 8, 1879, in honor of the Ateneus patrons. He wrote a poem titled Al-MRP Pablo Ramon, Rector del Ateneo, and sus Diaz later. In 1881, Father Pablo Ramon, the rector of the Ateneo, had been incredibly kind and helpful to him, and he wanted to show his appreciation for that by writing this poem. After 1881, gumawa rin siya ng isa pang tula na may pamagat na Al-MRP Pablo Ramon, Rector de Ateneo, and sus Diaz. He wrote this poem as an expression of affection to Father Pablo Ramon, the Ateneo Rector, who had been so kind, helpful to him. Yan si Rizal, kilala sa pagiging mahusay na manunulat sa dami ng tulong ng kanyang nagawa. Every time na may ma-inspired siya sa tao o isang lugar, gagawa niya ng tula, maging sa mga babaeng nagugustuhan niya or nililigawan niya, gumagawa siya ng tula. There were frequent student brawls between the Filipinos and the Spaniards. So, parating may nabubuong away sa pagitan ng Pilipino pati mga Spaniards students. In 1880, Rizal founded Compañerismo Comrades, a secret society of Filipino UST students. The members were called Companions of Jehu. In the year of 1880, may natuklasang grupo ng mga estudyante sa UST Jose Rizal na ang pangalan ng kanilang grupo ay Compañerismo or Comrades, na ang tawag naman sa mga miyembro nito ay Companions of Jehu. He was the chief of the society. So, sumali si Jose Rizal sa secret group na ito at naging chief of society siya. And his cousin Galicano Apacibol was the secretary. So, ang kanyang pinsan naman ay isang secretary ng grupong ito. Unhappy days at UST. Rizal was unhappy at UST because the Dominican professor were hostile to him. The Dominican professor ay parating galit sa kanya, and the Filipino students were racially discriminated against by the Spaniards. The Filipino students ay nadidiscriminate sila ng mga Spaniards. The method of instruction was obsolete and repressive. Ang paraan ng pagtuturo ay ganap at mapanupil. In his novel, El Filibusterismo, he discussed how Filipino were humiliated and insulted by Dominica professors. Sa kanyang nobelang El Filibusterismo, tinalakay niya kung paano pinahiya at ininsulto ang mga Pilipino ng mga professor ng Dominica. In chapter 13, the class in physics, Rizal related how classes are held in UST. Kinwento ni Rizal kung paano ginanap ang mga klase sa UST sa Kabanata 13. So, this is the record of Jose Rizal when he's studying medicine in the UST. In addition to the study abroad, after finishing the 4th year of his medical course, Rizal decided to study in Spain. So, matapos siyang mag-aral sa medisina ay nakapag-desisyon si Rizal na mag-aral sa Espanya. His uncle, Antonio Rivera Leonor's father, encouraged him to go abroad. So, na-encourage ng kanyang tito na ama ni Leonor na pumunta siya sa abroad. And for the first time, Rizal did not seek his parents' permission and blessing to go abroad, because he knew that day, especially his mother, disapproved his plan. He did not also bring his beloved Leonor into his confidence. Unang beses niyang hindi nagpaalam sa kanyang magulang at lalong-lalo na sa kanyang ina na alam niyang hindi ito papayag. Pasiano and Saturna, whom he contacted secretly. Kay Pasiano at Saturna lang siya nakipag-ugnayan ng palihim. Rizal parents, Leonor, and Spanish authorities knew nothing of his decision to go abroad in order to finish his medical studies in Spain, where the professor were more tolerant and understanding than those of University of Santo Tomas.